7 of the factors, and we don't have it.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors Business Meeting, Thursday, September 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m., not at 8. This meeting is being live streamed via YouTube for viewing only. The meeting is video recorded for posting on the township website. A video camera has been installed in the township auditorium for security purposes. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take the roll real quick. Chair Darby?
Here.
Vice Chair Charles?
Here.
Supervisor McFarland?
Here.
Supervisor Knights?
Here.
Supervisor Newfigleis?
Here.
And our returning student representative, Maya Frazier.
Here.
Thank you.
Right. An executive session was held prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters, potential litigation, and land acquisition. Before we get into our business meeting, we'd like to do a proclamation honoring the Family Services. This is their 125th anniversary, and Vice Chair Charles will read the proclamation.
Great. Proclamation, 125th Anniversary of Family Services of Montgomery County, founded in 1900 by concerned citizens who wanted to help individuals and families who were experiencing difficulties in everyday living. And whereas Family Services, as it exists today, was formed by the merger of 3 smaller Montgomery County-based organizations, Family Services of Pottstown, Lower Montgomery Family Services Society, and Family Service of the Main Line. And whereas the organization has been a cornerstone of support for generations of individuals and families in Montgomery County, transforming lives and inspiring hope. And whereas throughout its history, Family Services has adapted to meet the diverse challenges faced by families with its dedicated staff in Eagleville and Pottstown, offering compassionate support and guidance. Therefore, the Lower Providence Board of Supervisors wishes to recognize the significant contributions of Family Services and its long-standing tradition of dedicated service to Montgomery County communities, and offers congratulations on the occasion of its 125th anniversary. So, do you want to come up?
Thanks very much. We just want to thank I'm Kelly Canelli on behalf of Family Services.
The township supervisors and the township for all their support over these years and welcoming us to Lower Providence about 23 years ago. And we are thrilled to be here and thankful for all the support that we get, as well as for the help of your residents, many of whom are our Meals on Wheels volunteers and volunteers with our Project Hearth, which is our helping elderly adults remain in their homes. And many of those served are in Lower Providence. So we thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. We appreciate you, and we'll come and get a picture with you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
All right. Next is our presentation by our student representative, Maya Frazier.
Methacton High School will hold its annual Senior Sunrise on September 29th. The event will be held before school starting at 6:15 and will be for seniors only. Homecoming is the first weekend of October. The homecoming football game will be on October 3rd against Norristown. In addition to the game, Methacton will honor every team's captain/MVP and club presidents. Captains and presidents will walk the field at halftime with students from the elementary schools. During the school day on the 3rd, Methacton High School will partake in a color war fun day before the pep rally in the afternoon. Each class has been assigned a color, and students were given a shirt to wear for every color war event. The homecoming dance is on the 4th. Its theme is Night in New York. This year, Methacton High School is adding new phone and character policies. Students are no longer allowed to have their phones in study hall, and restrictions on phone usage in class have tightened. Students in every grade are now participating in the new Character Strong program, which aims to teach students about empathy and healthy relationships with peers. Character Strong programs are taught during class time and take about half an hour to 45 minutes per session. Senior Colin O'Donnell has been nominated for Pennsylvania Mile Split Athlete of the Week, which is a really, really big deal. Colin has led the boys cross country team in every single meet this season and has come first overall at Abington Invitational, Briarwood Invitational, and a handful of league meets. Also last night. Voting is available on Pennsylvania Mile Split's Instagram and website. And lastly, seniors Alex Webb and Daphne Johnson are National Merit semifinalists. Both received outstanding scores on last year's PSAT, which qualified them for National Merit and many other scholarships.
Awesome, thank you. And congratulations to all the students. Yeah.
We're gonna
And,
excuse her.
yeah, and she needs to leave to go and study, so please do.
Thanks, Maya.
All right, thank you, Maya. Okay, the presentations that we've been waiting for a while is the municipal complex update by Boyle Construction and MKSD Architects. So EJ and Paul will just kind of give us a brief synopsis, and then Boyle and MKSD, a lot of letters, will present as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to give a brief intro and introduce the team that's here tonight. Just as everybody knows, earlier this year, back in March, the township completed the acquisition of the property at 800 Adams Avenue with the intent of doing a full renovation of a portion of the building to be the future space of the Lower Providence Township Municipal Building, inclusive of the administration and police department. So we went through kind of a feasibility study process back in the spring, which was the last time Boyle was here and MKSD were here to see the board. After getting some feedback and direction from the board, we began the design process, which consisted of multiple phases. We went through a schematic design, a design development, and now we're kind of at the construction documents final design phase to in preparation of putting the project out to bid. So we thought this would be obviously an appropriate time to bring the design team back and present kind of the final design and updated cost estimates to the board and give the board an opportunity to ask questions and provide any additional feedback. So from Boyle, we have Chris, we have Tony, and I'm just not going to say last names because I'll get some people's last names wrong, but we have Chris and Tony from Boyle, and we have Nick and Blaine from MKSD. And I think Chris is going to kind of lead the presentation. And I'll just say we've had, through the design process, either Paul or myself, or oftentimes both of us, oftentimes the police chief and some other staff members have met with these folks no less than once a week, sometimes multiple times a week, every week for the better part of the last 4 to 5 months. So it's been a very intensive design process, and we're happy that you guys are here to present to us.
Happy to be here.
Great.
Definitely on time before budget season.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chris Haller is the last name. Thank you. First, I want to commend you. The fact that you have a student representative here at a municipal meeting is fantastic. This is my first meeting, municipal meeting, where a local student representative was there. That's wonderful. So I commend you on that. That's a great thing. Now to jump into the project. Give you some brief, high-level look at some things. We'll dig into the weeds a little bit on some of them. So with the schedule right now, we're wrapping up the construction document phase, as EJ had mentioned, and we're looking to advertise for bids in a few weeks here in October. It'll be about a 4 to 5 week bid process, looking to receive bids in November. We'll go through them, make sure everything's there that's required, and we'll probably be coming back to you in December for some direction on bids and some alternate bids, and we'll talk about those a little bit. Construction, going to start in December, and we're working on that anywhere from 9 months to a year we're planning, so we'll get through that. Land development and permitting, that's a very easy process. We're not doing a lot of earthwork with the project. We're doing some work at the Sally Port. There's some regrading out there, but because we're under an acre, we don't have to worry about an NPDS permit or anything like that. So land development process is one of the easier ones I've ever been through. That can be a long process, but for here it's not. And again, for the construction phase, looking to get the building permit issued in December when we're looking to get some direction from the board on how you'd like to proceed with the project. A little bit more of the contract. Again, if we bid in December or receive direction in December, we'll finalize contracts, insurance, and everything of that with the contractors, get them signed. And then construction start would be right after the beginning of the new year. I'm going to turn it over to Nick with MKSD. He gets to talk about the pretty stuff.
Everyone, my name is Nick Hughes with MKSD Architects, registered architect of Pennsylvania. I've been working with the team here for the entire time, so it's been a wonderful process. We're happy to be here, so happy to show you some of these images. I believe, as I understand, you've all seen the floor plans already, kind of gone over it, so we're just here to roll through it quickly again, kind of just by high-level overview, and then we have some images of a new meeting room space so that you can look at. That was just the overall site plan of the campus. You can see 800 Adams North, or 800 Adams on the north side of the screen there, with a Sally Port addition on that northwest side. Plan there, I don't know if you want to zoom in even more just to kind of maximize it on the screen. As EJ has mentioned, and as everyone knows, this building and the project is moving the police department and administration into the building. So our first floor plan is shown here overall, just to orient you. At the bottom middle of the plan is the main entrance of the building, and the top middle would be the police department entrance. That would be secure. Area to the left, and you can see we have a colored legend here just to help out, but a secure Sally Port and processing area for the police department is on that top left side of the screen there. And you also would have evidence storage right below that. It's kind of all part of that department. And then the patrol offices, meeting spaces, storage spaces adjacent directly to that. And then as we move down is their support spaces. So you would have locker rooms, toilet rooms, the break room, which is existing in the space. It would just be modified slightly. While a lot of the building needs to be, basically gutted and adjusted for this design, we tried to save as much as we could to kind of minimize those costs where there were areas that we didn't need to change. So in that example, the break room is one of them. We're kind of reducing the space of the current one, but keeping as much as we can of where it's currently located. So you can see that has some bunk rooms, again, support spaces for the police department. On the opposite side of this plan, the areas that are hatched are areas that are remaining existing part of the building. So that's kind of the existing toilet rooms, public toilet rooms, electrical, data, janitor's closet, things like that, and all the circulation. It's all there, not being changed. That solid gray training room, the shared fitness room, that's existing to remain. And then that crosshatch space, that's also going to be existing to remain. At one point, you may have seen that was where the new meeting space and caucus area was planned for at one point. And recent discussions moved it to where it's currently shown there in the green. And we would leave that space on the top right as an alternate to kind of demo that and prepare it for a future use. But in the green would be the new meeting space. So instead of where we're standing now, you'd have a movable partition down the center of that, which could be opened and create an adjoining, wide open space for township events, or have it open for public meeting space. And at the same time, you could close it, create two separate spaces, depending on what your needs are at the time. There'd be a raised dais, just as you have now, with basically a private entrance from the caucus room off the back. So the board can meet privately as the caucus and exit and enter from the dais privately without going through the public meeting space. So that dais, you'd have a ramp down to the public meeting room, and there would be, you'll see in a moment, we have renderings of like what that space looks like.
Was there a date where the ramp is?
a gate. Well, there'll be a door to the caucus room on the back, but the ramp will just be open. Yep. And you'll see how that looks. We have like a low wall. It kind of blends right in actually with the dais construction is what the idea is. Oh, okay. No, I think that's just showing the top of the slope. You know,
Okay, I also have one question. You said the top right corner, is
Yes.
that going to be demoed, did you say?
There is we'll get alternate pricing
Okay.
to demo
All right.
those interior partitions to make it wide open in case there was future use or you wanted to turn it into something else. Base bid numbers would be existing to remain to leave it, but they would get pricing of what it would cost to demo that space.
I'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay. Second floor, as again, you can see from the legend above, if you just show just the color to brief everyone that's watching from home too. You can see police department, offices is in the blue, and there'll be fire department shown, and then you have the administration on the screen east side, the right side of the screen. So to orient yourself, you come out of the elevators in the center of the plan. That hatched area at the top would be future tenant space or an additional tenant space not utilized. Again, that's all existing space, the public toilet rooms, the stair towers, electrical and data room, things like that. So the left side would be police department and fire, all offices, interview rooms, open meeting spaces. It's everything that's not the processing, which is downstairs. And then on the right side is the administrative offices. So you can see we'll have a large, generous lobby with access to reception, windows for park staff as well as the reception for the different uses that people would just come up to those windows. But then obviously offices all around the perimeter. If you're familiar with the building, there's windows currently existing around the entire perimeter of the building. So there's plenty of light getting into all of the offices. And created access around that whole space for plenty of file storage, work storage. We've worked with the township to find what everyone's needs were, and worked with sizing of offices and storage spaces. But that is the layout. Next, here are some rendering images of the new meeting space, what that could look like and how it's currently designed. So you'll see your question about the ramp is on the right here. So this would be a view just as you were sitting in the audience looking at the dais. We would have screens on both sides. Screen on the left, the TV screen, as you see, there's in the plan, you don't have to go back to it, but you'll see there's a door right next to it on the left. That is another entrance because if that movable partition is closed, we would need another entrance into this space. And also because even when it's open, because it's so big by code, we would need a second exit and entrance out of that for egress. So that is that access door. And what's nice about that is as someone comes into the space, you're not immediately, interrupting a meeting that might be going on. They're coming in on the side, but you can still enter and exit with minimal interruption to what's going on in the space.
A real quick question on that. Do you anticipate any changes to the exterior wall, or are those windows and everything as is?
The windows are as is, and as Chris will go over, we have alternates for, right now, all the windows in the building have blinds, existing blinds, but for this space, we would have an alternate for new motorized operable shades for that space, especially if you're doing a presentation or depending on the time of day to do that. But other than that, other than painting, those existing walls would remain, the exterior walls. So to allow the dais to be raised up, like I said, that is at a higher elevation for the presentation purposes for the board. So that's why the need for a ramp for ADA accessibility, which is why it's there. And then there would be a step down into the caucus room. So the caucus would be at floor level of everyone else, and you would step up into this. But the ADA access would be this short ramp. It's not that, I think it's 9 feet. I believe it's like a 9-inch difference. So these are. Right. And that's because just limited to the existing ceiling height and structure in the building. So if we stepped it up too high, it would feel like you were just really tall when you're up there.
I wouldn't mind that. Get a question. So if the dais wasn't raised, would we need the ramp and
No.
everything? Okay.
You would not need it.
All right. Just thank you.
Yeah, so the materials as far as throughout the entire project, all of the finishes, they're standard finishes, nothing over the top, standard carpet or LVT or paint. And, ceiling tiles, there's nothing extravagant being proposed. We understand there's obviously a budget in mind. So just working with our interiors department, made sure it was all very reasonable going through here. We show, the township logo in the back there, and that can be anything we need it to be if it was that logo or a screen or something. There's conversations happening. That's another idea the bids will probably show a projection screen along that back wall too that could drop down behind the dais, so people in the audience, if needed, if it was another presentation, that would be where it'd be projected as a possibility, in addition to the two screens that would come out of the ceiling.
My turn.
Any questions on the floor plan or design before Chris goes into some money, numbers, budget? Okay, great, thank you.
See, I said he gets to do the pretty stuff. So, looking at construction cost estimates, there are a couple factors that came into play with the building. Oh, sorry. So, if you're familiar with Boyle Construction, we also have a general construction wing of the company. So, we are bidding projects all the time. We are working with multiple subcontractors all the time. So, we verify prices and estimates with everything we do. On top of that, we also, it's a trust but verify thing. So there's something out there called Engineer News Record, and they provide cost data analysis that for the current period, they project to December of '26, but they go back to January of 2001. So they have a 25, 26-year span in their chart. Give you an example of what we looked at there. We finished a new fire station in Reading, and bids were received in October of 2001. In October of 2001, the building. 2021, sorry. At that time, building alone, the square foot cost for those bids was $575 a square foot. Using Engineer News Record to calculate what that number would be if we were to receive bids December of 2026, that $575 a square foot goes to $730 a square foot. And that's using ENR, Engineer News Record, ENR. So again, we have the capabilities in-house, but again, it's a trust but verify thing. Let's see what the national standards are saying as well. So we kind of use those things when we go through and do our estimates.
Is that for public use or just for y'all?
What's
Is that for public use, the ENR, or no?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
So like any of us can get on that?
Yep, and I'd be happy to email Paul
Okay.
the charts that I
Awesome.
have from that.
Awesome.
Yeah, just a quick calibration question. The number you gave, 575 a square foot or something, was that for like a new building being constructed, or was that for like an interior renovation?
That was a new building, and again, I just use that
Yeah.
as an
Sure.
example.
Yep.
And again, it's just a trust but verify thing. We do the estimating in-house, we have the ability in-house, we have the subcontractors to work with. Based on what the number was here to what the number is now, let's see what the national standards are saying with the numbers too.
And roughly, what are those benchmarks for interior reconstruction? Similar to what we're doing here.
They don't break it down to whether it's new or renovations. They just say, if this was the square foot cost number in 2021, of October 2021, and you want to see what that number would be if you were bidding it in December of whatever,
Sure, you're
December of
scaling it,
25,
yeah.
you're scaling it, and then you can see what that number would be. It doesn't say it's new construction only or it's partial renovation, it's just, this was the number, what would it be today?
Sure.
So
okay.
it gives you a scale to kind of go by.
And just, and you might not have the information, which is totally fine. Do you have an estimate of what interior reconstruction, like if I was to go to a commercial office building, per square foot?
Not from Engineer News Record, but based on what we
Based on
calculated for
your
this one,
expertise.
we're roughly around $350 a square foot, we're thinking, for renovations.
Okay.
And it does sound expensive, but when you consider all the processes that have to go through to do that, I mean, like with new construction, What you're saving with renovation is the shell of the building, the walls, the roof, the steel, the floors. If you're building new, you have to build those things. But with new building, I don't have to demolish everything inside the building to start building it. So there's cost offset. So I've had situations where the cost to renovate a building because of those items was getting so close to the cost of building new. I've done it with, really it comes with school districts. It came to the point where they said, you know what, for a few more $1 million, now we're talking on a $60 million project, but for a few more $1 million, we can have a new building that's going to take us out 50 years as opposed to fixing what we have that's going to get us another 20. So, yep. So the current building footprint is about 33,000 square feet, and that's the breakdown of the 5 prime contracts we're looking at. We're looking at general, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and we're going to separate fire protection out as a separate prime as well. Typically, we would separate out site construction as a separate prime as well, but there's so little site construction that needs to happen here. We didn't think we would get good bids or quality contractors based on that, so we included that in with the general construction package so we can get some good bids. There are general contractors out there that do their own site work, so we can get some good numbers with them. So that's the strategy there.
While you're up on this slide, this is perfect. When you got to bid for, based on what you've been experiencing recently, and what are your expectations in terms of how many GCs will bid on our project, how many HVACs? Do you have a sense?
The bidding climate right now is very good. We just bid a new, it's a new building, but a project in Upper Pottsgrove, where between 6 primes, was site separate there?
Yeah, it was, we just took the bids actually about 45 days ago. 5 prime contractors, 49 bidders.
So roughly, on average,
Roughly 10
bidders per
Yeah,
prime
and
contract.
in your case, it's a much cleaner project. It's a great project because it's all internal, basically, except for the Sallyport and the minor site work. So, and we're starting in the winter, so I would suspect that we'll get a lot of bidders, aggressive bidders, we hope, because again, we're starting January 6th, I think is our goal to start construction, and winter around here goes to maybe April 1 or so. So it really is good quality work, interior work, basically, for a general contractor and the other trades. So I would suspect we'll get great bid results.
Yeah, so the contractors are looking for work to keep their guys busy when they can't be outside, or so this is a good project to do that. They can keep their guys inside, keep them going, keep them busy, keep the payroll going, and keep things moving. Any other questions with this slide before going? Okay, so the construction estimate was roughly $9.5 million. Soft costs, now the soft costs are everything else that it takes to make the building usable. So there's the design team fees, permits, not an issue with this one. IT, there's a lot that goes into this building because it's a police station as far as security and things like that. So a lot of low voltage systems that go into this. We're using your vendors to do that, so we're not going to bid that. That'll be done on state contracts, so try and save some money that way. It goes into the furniture. Now we work very extensively with your team in being able to reuse as much furniture that's there as possible. Bring furniture here that's over, so the purchase of new furniture is going to be minimal. It includes moving expenses. EJ and Paul have been working extensively on that. They got you a great deal on moving. Anything and everything else that you can think of to make it so that you can move into the building and use it outside of what the construction costs are what are considered soft costs. And at the end of the day, that added up to about just shy of $1.8 million.
And some other items on that, like vendor costs, audio, video. We showed you the TVs and the screens and all the stuff that goes into the administration and the police department. What's called things called access control, right? Door locking, fob access, all those things. And as Chris said, with the police department in particular, right? There's pretty
They're
strict.
very demanding.
Yeah, they're. There's very strict access, right? There's especially on the police side, but even on the administrative side. So it's all those what we would call ancillary costs to construction that are rolled up into that $1.7 million.
So into the project soft costs? Yeah, okay.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And again, that's our fees. That's MKSD's fees. It's Tim Woodrow. It's everything is in everything other than when you look at the 9.5. That's hard bid day. When we take bids, that's the 9.5. Everything else is in the 1.7.
One other question, I'm just thinking back to the prior slide with the HVAC. I know that there have been some, changes, I understand the rationale for that. With the HVAC contractor, do they do their own electrical work?
No, so the electrical contractor will bring power to the equipment.
Sure.
And then, depending on how the spec is written, typically the electrical contractor will make that final connection.
Right.
The HVAC guy will, designate where the connection is, and the electrical guy will make that connection.
That's just for the main power supply?
Yeah.
What-
Anything within the equipment itself that has any wiring or anything, that's prepackaged and it's purchased from the manufacturer that way.
What about the low voltage stuff for thermostats and building and the controls?
So there's equipment built into the HVAC equipment for the controls. And then outside of that, there's low voltage wiring and a building automation system that will connect to that to control the system. So
And-
that wiring outside the unit is by the mechanical contractor, but it's not built into the equipment.
So the HVAC contractor price of $1,045,000, that would include then all of the control, wiring, and equipment?
Correct.
Okay. Then just a sort of related question. The electrical contract work also went up, so I'm trying to understand why that, approximately doubled.
So with the mechanical equipment now being new as opposed to trying to reutilize the existing, all the wiring for those new pieces of equipment is now also new.
So you're saying the line voltage to the units on the roof or whatever?
Well, the rooftop units are staying. We're reusing those.
Right.
So I'm talking about the VAV boxes inside the building, the various terminal boxes, things like that require some sort of power within the building itself. That wiring is by the electrical contractor. Also, with the new layout, many of the panels are either being upgraded, relocated, or replaced. So along with that, a lot of the new electric is new as well. And then with the layout, when the original budget was done, it was pretty much done as a concept budget. With the new layout, the power requirements for some of the spaces are much greater than what you would typically see in like a room or an office. You get into like the simulator room, there's much more power required just because they need the flexibility to set it up so they can use it the way they need to use it.
I see. What is a simulator room?
Well, one more thing, along with the electric, the lighting is also new. So the new lighting will be all LED lighting. It'll have the occupancy sensors in it, so that's all new as well within the electrical contract.
Makes sense. And you mentioned a simulator room. I was trying to figure out what went into that. Can you elaborate a little bit?
I can't, and it's really something that the police department uses as far as training.
But I mean for the electrical stuff.
We just made sure that we had as much power around the walls as possible so they had flexibility in how they plugged in their laptops, monitors, whatever they would need to do to make sure that the police officers were trained appropriately in that space. And again, we don't just try to plan for what they're doing today. We try to plan for the future too. So they just asked for as much power as they could, so they had the flexibility to do things and change as the equipment changed.
And that's basically 110 outlets around there?
Yeah,
Okay. Thanks.
sure. Bonds and contingency. Bonds are something that's within all the contracts. They have, like, it's usually like 2% bonding, so whatever the numbers we get from the contractors, bonds are included in that. And then we also include a contingency. It's basically money that you set aside for any what-ifs, if something's going along and you say, you know what, we'd like to make a change here, and it wasn't part of the original contract documents, it's going to be a bad word, it'll be the change order. But you have money set aside outside of the contracts so that if there's something that needs to be changed or wanted to be changed or something needs to be addressed, you have the money budgeted to do that. It's not money that we anticipate spending, it's not money we want to spend, but it's just smart construction to say, you know what, sometimes something happens and we just want to make sure we have money set aside for if we get that what if.
And I was just thinking, I'm going back to I can't get my head away from the HVAC stuff, where you have like the two subcontractors working. Could there be a case where one of those subcontractors, through their work or omission of work, could drive the use of contingency?
No, so if we're
Thank you.
if we're looking at the HVAC and the building automation system, the control system, that contractor is going to be a subcontractor to the HVAC. So as far as the contract goes, as far as what you own the entire system. How that prime mechanical contractor decides to divvy up his subcontractor services is on him. You own it. It's a complete system that you own.
Sorry for all these questions.
No, that's fine.
So then, now I'm confused because the electrical contract work went up, and I just heard you say that the HVAC contractor would be like the prime, and their electrical work would be subbed out to them.
No,
Is that electrical work under their budget, or is it a separate line item?
The electric work to power the equipment is the electrical contractor.
Okay.
To have the building automation system tell the mechanical piece of equipment
Sure.
what to do is under the mechanical contractor. They're two separate things. So,
And so there's no chance that one of those would cause that interrelationship between that electrical contractor and the HVAC contractor. There's no way that that could drive a contingency.
no.
Okay.
We, just part of the reason you hired us is to make sure that when the bid documentation, and MKSD, by the way, sorry, but no, in all seriousness, that the value that we believe we bring to the table here is to make sure that the documentation before it goes out to bid is as tied together in a knot as tight as it can be, right? It's got to be tight, and that's why we work so closely together to make sure that when it goes out, it's tight. That the holes that you're right. There are holes typically in these documentation, whether it's the plans or the specifications. Our job is to make sure that those holes are filled and that it's tight. So when they are bidding on things and the scopes of work that we put together are in the documentation, it's clear to all the prime contractors where mechanical work starts and where the electrical work starts and stops. So then they know. So then those questions become irrelevant to us. They may bring them up, and we're going to tell them to go to the scope of work that we prepared and review it and make sure that they understand it correctly, because we do those starts and stops for all of the trades. And that's why we're here, to make sure that that does in fact happen. Does something from time to time slip? Of course, right? It's a $12 million, whatever it is, $9 million prime day bid package. Something's bound to happen, right? But what we also do is we also put allowance money in the contracts, small contingency allowance that we call it, that if something does happen, it's in the contract already, it's covered. And we do that all the time for all the prime contractors. But just so you know that there's a comfort level that we're going to try our best to make sure these holes are filled properly.
And to also let you know with those allowances, it's built into the contract, but it's not free money to the contractor. If those allowances aren't used, we do a deduct change order at the end of the project, and that money goes back in the municipality's pocket.
So
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Correct.
Yes, and just to be clear, that 9.5 million has those allowances in it,
Correct.
right? So when we say to you, carry a contingency, that's not the allowance money we're referring to. That's your money in your budget in case you decide to do something in addition to what we're already proposing. The allowance money's already in the 9.5 already. So we got our allowance contingencies covered in that top number, not in the 668.
So an easier one to explain as far as the two contracts coming together. Typically, the plumbing contractor owns all the plumbing up to 5 feet outside the building. And at 5 foot outside the building and on, the general contractor owns it. Rainwater leaders are a perfect example. You come down, the plumbing contractor sticks it out of the ground 5 feet. We specify that in the separation of work, this is your distance, plumbing contractor. The general contractor goes from that point out. The general contractor is also responsible for making that final connection. Because without that last piece, you have this. And we want this. So,
Exactly your point. Right, exactly your point.
yeah.
I have some other questions further down, but while we're on this general topic, you, if I understand this, Boyle will be the construction manager or someone within,
We'll have someone on site full-time.
right, so Boyle will be the construction manager in this case?
Correct.
Okay. And then when there is a dispute between the general contractor interpreting what he sees as a design and Boyle interpreting what they see as a design, how is an arbitrary decision made with regard to that since you did the design?
We represent you, we represent the specifications and the documents. We're right.
And let me just say, in the contract that, there's a copy of the contract, a standard AIA contract in the bid documentation, right? Every contractor signs them. When we prepare those contracts, it's very clear, right to your point, that there's a section in it as to the arbitrator. Usually it's me in those contracts, but Boyle then becomes the arbitrator of a dispute. We're not designing, right? MKSD is designing. So Boyle on your behalf becomes that arbitrator. Because
Between the architect and the contractor?
that's correct.
Okay.
Right.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay?
And all of these projects of this scope have things that you didn't expect, little surprises, you open a wall, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Renovations
So-
always do that.
What would be your estimate on historic experience with the amount of variance that contract variances or document changes would result in a % of the total cost?
I think this one's going to be lower than what a typical one would be. It's, the age of the building is relatively new. It was built after asbestos and materials like that were outlawed, so we know we don't have to worry about finding any of that in the building. We are, as Nick alluded to, we're gutting a lot of the space, so we're not trying to save a piece of a wall and then have to figure out how the new piece comes into that. We're removing it, and it's all new construction there. On average with our projects, I think the industry average for municipal work is around 9% for change orders. Our projects are around 0.9%.
Okay, thank you.
One question, I noticed the plumbing contractor went up over $400,000. What was that about?
So the plumbing contract, again, when we initially did the budget, it was just a very general scope. When we got into the plans, some of the number of toilets that were added, for good reason. Some of the areas with the break rooms and some of the additional plumbing there. But the other one that we found was the plans that we received from the builder showing where the under slab existing waste lines are not where they were indicated. So like for the waste lines that come from the holding cells of the police station, we are anticipating that all being able to be gravity fed to where the pipes are once we found out where they are, and the elevation of the existing pipes, we're going to have to include a pump in there. So there's some additional floor cutting that has to happen. Pump needs to be added as well.
again, just to,
quickly on that topic, if I may, I just wonder if our contract with the seller had any type of guarantee in it with regard to the presented documents such as the piping.
It did not.
everybody's super clear too. When we say plumbing, that also includes sanitary. Just so everybody knows. It's not just the water. Okay.
And I've yet to come across an existing building where the as-built drawings were what was actually as-built. So it doesn't surprise me that something's not as-built. It's unfortunate, but it happens more often than you care for.
I agree with that, but having said that, when with us being out there full-time and our on-site representation here, when we deliver to you the building and we deliver to you all your closeout documents at the end, you know, our on-site personnel typically take, I don't know, 500 to a couple hundred pictures a day. So, and it's very, very crystal clear. So you'll know really every new wall that's built, what's in it, where it was built, all the photos associated with it. So if there's ever an issue, you know, later at one of the walls or the floor, you know, whatever we're opening up, you'll know what's in it and you'll know exactly what it looks like too. All that information you get at the end. And of course you can call us anytime and we'll be happy to give it to you. But I'm sure EJ and Paul have it stored quite nicely because that's how they are, right? So you will have great as-built information for the stuff that we're changing later.
So when you sell the building, the next guy will love it. Next. No. Okay, so some of the major cost drivers we've pretty much covered. The HVAC work we talked about, which was kind of a driver with some of the electric and other things. The increased scope. There's areas within the building, and that has another direct impact on the HVAC as well. There were areas, and even now, areas designated to receive no work, such as that large meeting space on the second floor. Because of what we're doing with the HVAC system, the existing system in that room is at the end of the run for what's there now. So if we're removing the HVAC that's in front of that, that has to come out as well. So that room needs new HVAC. Well, what does that mean? The ceiling needs to come down. Well, if the ceiling's coming down, what do we do with the lights? So what we decided there as far as the base bid was, let's open that space up as we need to address the HVAC. We're not going to put new ceilings back in because if you get a future tenant, they're probably going to come on in and want to rearrange walls anyway. And we're going to put some strip lighting in. We're not going to put the finished space, 2x4 LED fixtures in that room. We're going to do what we need to do to take care of the HVAC and then put it back together as minimally as we can. So some of the spaces where we're not doing any work, unfortunately, we have to do a little bit of work.
If I may, just on the HVAC, just for my benefit, but maybe for the benefit of the public as well. The HVAC work is necessary primarily because of the gutting and reconfiguring of the spaces where the airflow previously is no longer valid, now has to be redone. Is that in a general statement correct?
General statement, that's absolutely 100%
Okay,
correct.
and is the addition of the walls that we're putting in adding, because of its constrictions, adding load to the HVAC system that's in place there?
It's not really changing the load because we're not changing the rooftop equipment that provides the main heating and cooling for the building.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean,
what
are
happens-
you putting more load on those units on the top of the building by
No,
doing
because we're
that?
not changing the square footage of the space. So right now there's an area that's very open and there's a ceiling mounted unit in there that's sized appropriately for a large open space. Just use this space as an example. Now we're taking this space and breaking it up into a bunch of smaller spaces. And that system is going to be overworked because it's too much for what the smaller spaces require. So it's not going to be efficient. The comfort level is not going to be there. We're going to get complaints it's going to be too hot or too cold. It's going to depend on the walls, which way you're facing to. That building is all glass. So if you have a room that has exterior glass facing south and a room that's in the middle of the building with no windows and have it on the same control system, one of those rooms is going to be hot or cold year-round, because the one with the windows is getting the southern exposure with the sun, so that one's going to be calling for more cooling, but the room with no windows is going to be calling for more heat. So depending on where you put that thermostat, someone's not going to be happy.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So the exterior walls are going to need a higher heat and cooling air supply in order to offset those losses.
Yeah.
And the interior rooms will now have a much smaller than they would have shared with others space because they don't need as much
Correct.
delta. And that's really I'm coming back to, and I won't belabor that, but that's where the bulk of this additional HVAC dollars is coming from? Is that what it is?
Right, because the units and the main trunks that run down through the building to service each floor, those aren't changing. It's once you get out of that main trunk and get into the areas where everything's been reconfigured, the existing systems won't support those
Understood,
spaces.
yeah. And so I just confirm, I think you said it's because of the main driving on each floor are going to remain the same loads, same air volumes, hot and cold. But when you put in interior rooms that weren't there before and exterior rooms that are isolated from the others, does that require a balancing that actually starves a bit of the load because it can't be shared as well?
The balancing, yes, and what we're doing with this project, we're looking to do a third-party HVAC testing and balancing and commissioning verification contract, so that the HVAC contractor is not the one saying, yep, what I installed is working perfect. The contractor will be responsible for commissioning the equipment they install, but we're going to have a third party do the testing and verification of that.
Understood. So the wall constructions are not going to affect the overall load in any way?
No, if it would have, our mechanical contractor that MKSD has on board would have identified that, and we would have had to address the rooftop units.
Thank you.
I think that was pretty much it.
No, I have questions on increased scope and Sallyport. I didn't know we were jumping across it.
Nope.
So the increased scope, can you just in a summary way talk about what that is from the origination to now? What are the main drivers in that
Sure.
increased scope?
So on the second floor, we have the large area in the back that is going to be future tenant space. And that's somewhat impacted by the construction. It's not going to be $350 a square foot, but it's going to be a cost, so maybe $100 a square foot. The lobby that is on the second floor was not originally in the scope. We were going to not touch the lobby. Because we're touching the mechanical system, that impacts the lobby, that impacts the ceiling, the lighting, and we're going to do some new finishes in there as well. Paint the walls, put a new floor down. Not reconfiguring anything in there, but looking at doing some finishes. It may look good now, but it looks good against a product that's also 15 years old. When we finish this building next year, that is not going to look good against something that's brand new. So we want to make sure that's addressed as well. And then along with the second floor, there was a portion that was not intended to be touched, about 575 square feet, that is now complete renovation. So those three areas on the second floor increase the square footage, again, at different levels. But then, so that's the second floor. Then on the first floor, we originally had the meeting room in the back corner, and there was a square footage associated with that. Moving that to the front, the square footage in the front is larger. So we took the delta between that, we deducted the area in the back and added in the area in the front. The delta between those two areas is about 1,100 square feet. So those are the areas.
Did we use the 350 number to get to like $400,000? Is that a rough number?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delta between the two?
Yeah. And then the Sallyport got like 350 square feet larger.
Yeah, If I could move to the Sally.
Can we, I have one question before the Sally Port. You said another area on the second floor will be renovated. What is that going to be used for? Do you know?
That is some of the file storage area.
Okay,
It's on the administrative side of the, you want to go back to the floor plan?
Go back to the floor plan and we can
Go to the second floor? Yeah.
It's basically this. Oops. Did I do that? No.
It's not a touch screen.
Now he's doing it.
Okay,
on
take your hand
purpose.
off the mouse.
I won't touch it. It's basically this area right here.
Sure.
I'd like to move on and talk a bit about the Sally Port.
Sure.
'Cause as I understand it, from the origination and vision of it, the
Can you go to the first
preliminary presentation, the Sally Port was going to attach, or is planned to attach at the top left corner there to the building.
Correct.
And then more recently, I was informed that there's a grade problem with it that will require some, and I'm asking for clarification, I don't know if I'm right or not, that you're going to need to spend some money to get that up to the current floor level.
No, so yes, there's a grade difference between the grade and the first floor level. So I'll talk louder.
Take your mic.
Yeah, so there is a grade difference between what the grade is and what the existing building is. We addressed that by putting a ramp inside the Sally Port and some stairs so that the floor level of the Sally Port is down at the grade level that's outside.
Oh, okay.
So some of the additional site scope that was increased was there's a yard inlet here that we have to move, so we have to redo some of the stormwater lines underground to address that. And then some of the paving work is coming out so that we can slope it properly so that rainwater doesn't come in and wash in these doors and wash out that door. So we get the rainwater to wash around the Sally Port.
Okay, thank you. I misunderstood. I thought there was going to be some significant excavation work being done there. Is this Sally Port the same dimension as it was originally?
No, it grew about 300 square feet, I think.
And did some of that square footage move away from the building in that direction?
Yes, it moved away
We
from
we
the
had a
building.
kind of a pinch traffic-wise at that point?
So we looked at that with the site, your site engineer, Tim, and we made sure that the turning radiuses, not just for police vehicles, but for fire apparatus as well, had plenty of clearance around that building.
So the chief's officers aren't going to be hitting the corner of the Sally Port going out?
Not unless he knocks the
No, we
bollards
don't
down
think so.
first.
Yeah, we're comfortable with
With
the
this?
current plan, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted to clear that up because I wasn't clear on that. And this might be unfair, but I'll ask it anyway. And I just kind of wanted to get some scope-wise idea of how much space is going to be dedicated to admin there at the new building compared to what it is here. And you may, I mean, that's not a question.
I can get those numbers, I don't have them by memory.
I didn't expect you to know the answer, but I just,
This whole floor is,
7,500?
this whole is about 7,000, this whole floor is about 7,000 square feet, obviously including this room here.
Right.
And you figure each of these floors is, what is it, 22,000 square feet? And this is, so we take up about a third of that, so, quick math. Yeah, we're actually not, we're not increasing the admin side all that much, other than if you considered that would
This
be
room.
taking up the entire floor as opposed to just,
the additional admin is basically what this space represents.
basically, yeah, I think,
Okay.
What's the square footage roughly?
I don't know, I mean, if this is
It's
7,000
40
square feet.
across, probably 60, it's probably 2,400, 2,500.
Right.
I mean, you can count the tiles, I'm just not gonna do
I
it.
can't count that high.
8 times 4 is 32, plus a foot on either side, so that's about 34, 35 foot wide. It's easy to figure out when the ceiling tiles are 2 foot by 4 foot. Just count them.
Oh,
That's close enough, around.
That's
2
close,
feet.
I'm not trying to, I just want to get an idea.
All fair questions.
And if you don't mind, just because we're on the subject, some of that additional space that we're getting is a larger conference room, which which would kind of take the place of the caucus room. We would get getting like a workspace
So currently, particularly for Parks and Rec, they'll have to use a lot of this, or they'll have to spread out a lot of their stuff. Carrying and sharing is like the big thing, but also during summer camp. So that workroom is supposed to be modular, so we can kind of use it for whatever. And then we want to have more file storage on site as opposed to what we have now, because currently a lot of our files are stored off site. So the goal is to move the vast majority of our file storage on site, reducing costs because we have to pay a lot of money to Iron Mountain, and easier accessibility. That's some of that square footage, just since we're talking about it.
Okay, now can we do the same thing for the police station? They don't have 7,000 downstairs, right?
I'm going to look at you
Oh,
again.
doesn't go all the way across, I don't think you go all the way back there, do you?
I mean,
Not
the
in.
combination of the police and the fire marshal emergency management office is located downstairs, but that's the whole floor, about 7,000 square feet.
So I thought that end wasn't, okay.
That's all.
So 7,000, and what are they going to have in the new space?
22,000. Triple, yeah.
Roughly triple.
And I'm not trying to cut that back, but I mean, one of the things that's significantly different for police versus admin is you had no room for your detectives, for your patrol people, for interview rooms. I mean, can you just touch on what is going to be in this new building that you don't have here?
I think evidence room was a big issue.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we could start with the first floor there. We don't have a holding area any longer, so that's brand new to us. Patrol sergeants do not have any office space whatsoever. So no rooms to counsel, no room to keep their personnel files. So that would be brand new for us. Corporal's the same boat. As far as the evidence processing, it's our current it's a closet. So that and as far as evidence storage, our old holding cell is now also additional evidence storage. So that's definitely a big improvement. We just outgrew pretty much all the spaces downstairs, including roll call room. We don't really have storage to speak of on the first floor. Now, if you want to go to the second floor, I could talk about that as well. Interview rooms. Right now, we have one interview room in the entire police station. Now, on the second floor, we would have two for our detectives, allowing us to do multiple interviews at the same time, if need be. As far as office spaces, additional office space, now we have, instead of people in spaces never designed to be offices without any type of ventilation, and I'm not exaggerating, there's no ventilation in some of our current offices. Now every office will have some ventilation, which is a good thing. We don't have a conference room. That would be brand new to us. As far as training spaces, we don't have any training spaces, so we all often have to rely on off-site training or off-site spaces to do our different types of trainings, annual, monthly, or whatever we need. So those are just
Okay.
and record storage and then additional storage rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't trying to question whether you needed any of it. I just wanted, it would be helpful for everyone to understand what is going to happen when you triple your space. which,
Sure.
I don't think anybody, certainly not I, thought you had plenty of space down there. So that's not the question.
Right.
So not my question. So can we, I'll move off this, but can,
What,
Go
are
ahead.
you going to move off the police?
well, I'm going to move it, yeah, go ahead.
Or, I was just going to say the Sally Port. How is what you have here compared to what you will have?
It just more secure for one. It's fairly similar. It's a
Okay.
2-car Sally port with the ability for 2 vehicles to park in there and for secure prisoner escort. It's a little bit bigger and just more secure.
Like you said, much, much more secure.
Correct.
And it's enclosed.
It's completely enclosed, which is absolutely necessary down that location because, as you can imagine, people who come into our police station in handcuffs aren't typically the happiest, and we are going to have tenants in there, and I'm sure they don't want to hear or see what's happening down below. So,
Okay, thank you.
When the officers come in, like if they're bringing someone in through the Sally Port, they would enter through the Sally Port. if they're just parking to come in, what entrance would they use and where would they clear their weapons?
So without prisoners,
Yep.
okay, they wouldn't clear their weapons. They clear their weapons. They would not be clearing their weapons just to park their vehicles. They wouldn't park in the sally port either. They would park in the back driveway or the back lot.
So where will the weapons clearing place be?
There's multiple locations
Okay,
on the first floor for weapons
I
clearing.
know there's
yeah.
one down there, I think.
Yeah, in the sally port, there'd be one, in upstairs by the detective's office, there's another. So
Gotcha, okay.
there's different locations, and it's kind of required for accreditation
Yep.
purposes as well.
Thank you.
So just to kind of finish that thought, again, just roughly, of the 12 million that we're talking about spending here, how would you split that between the police requirements and the, was it 50/50, 60/40?
I'd have to go back and take a look at that, because honestly, like when we look at the mechanical system, we're looking at the entire floor. We're not trying to say it's this square foot cost for the police, but
I believe, impression, that we're probably 60 or 65 police and the rest of it admin, I guess, because of the amount of work that's necessary to accommodate their needs.
it could be.
Okay, thank you. I'm done with the set report. Please, piece.
The new HVA system won't be doing that either.
Why are we bringing this up?
I mean, it'll run, but you won't hear it kick on and.
I have a few questions about the public room, but I'm not going to address that.
All right, so the alternate right rear. So the base bid is to not touch that space, leave it exactly as it is. Actually, that part of the building is on its own HVAC, so we don't even have to touch the HVAC back in there. So we're doing an alternate bid just to see what the price is. You will make that decision on bid day, whether you want to do it or not. And it's to demo that space, but not just to leave it as a demo space. Basically, you make it a big box space. So all the walls that So basically, this entire area under the alternate bid becomes one big large space. We would fix the HVAC in there for that, as opposed to having all the little rooms. You'd have a new ceiling, new lighting, and then we would finish and paint the walls around that. So that's the alternate bid. It's not just to demo that, but it's to basically patch it so that it's a large usable space. And again, you can make that decision on bid day to see how the bids come in, see if that's an alternate bid that you wish to accept.
What's the approximate square footage of that? Looks similar, a little bit.
2,500 or so?
2,500?
Around there, 20,
Yeah,
Okay.
22.
Yeah, that's close enough. Yeah, that's,
yeah, if you go to the other
all
plan,
right,
that
that's
might show
about,
it.
about the same as this room right
Oh,
here.
no, it's description, sorry, okay.
Tony's number is, it's in that
It's about
22 to 25 range.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is about,
For the total.
which is about what this room is.
And that's after you tear down the interior walls.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's really no, again, as we talked, there's no harm to you or the township to get that bid, right? We have the documentation in place. Getting the bid doesn't require you to do anything other than getting an alternate price, and you can decide. If the bids for the base bid come in really great and you think that the alternate bid of, call it 200,000, is worth you getting more space, then you select it. If you don't, then you don't do anything with it. There's no harm. No harm at all. That's really the case with any of the alternates, right? Any of the alternates that, even if you think you don't, oh gosh, I really don't want to touch that, I don't want to do it, fine, we won't put it in. Whatever your wishes are is what we'll do. But again, we're at a point where if you put it in, again, you don't have to do it. You just get prices on things, and again, if bid day comes in, like in Upper Pottsgrove 60 days ago, where they were 15% under, they chose some of the alternates that they really wanted to do. They were allowed to do, they felt that they should do that then, right? And you may feel the same way if you're in the same boat. You may not either, but you may. It just gives you alternate options.
Just a small thing, but in the price estimate that you've provided, there's about 9 or 10, maybe 9 allowance lines. And those add up to something just a little under $1 million. So how close do you, I mean, these allowance numbers going to vary very much, or are they going to be generally come in less? Or are they risky in terms of going up at some significant point?
We feel very comfortable with those allowance numbers. We try to plan ahead. Again, we have historical data from other projects. The HVAC testing imbalance is an allowance. The antenna.
About alternate or
Allowance.
Allowance. They're within the soft costs. Yeah, so that we just don't have hard numbers for those yet. So, but we feel comfortable with those.
And the other thing I'll say about a number of those things is the township and you all kind of control those things. That those will be shopped around separately from the construction bid, from the various contracts through the bidding process. So, you know, a number of those we might be coming back to the board and ask, you know, have a couple different options to choose from, and that'll be your decision. So we'll kind of control those costs. I mean, the one that Chris mentioned earlier that we've kind of already finalized, we don't have a signed contract for, but we shopped around the moving and relocation expenses, and it, you know, we had 6 months ago put in an allowance for $100,000, and we were able to get it down to under $20,000, and that was kind of just at the staff level. Those are the things that we're shopping around to try to get pricing for.
So when you get the bids, you'd get, let's say you had 5 general contractor bids and 5 plumbing bids, just and keep it at that, keep it simple. Basically, you can pick any of those, or you have to pick the lowest one, but any combination works.
Yeah, so they're separate contracts. We have them separated as far as their scope of work identified. We tell them who's connecting to who, if there's work between the two prime contractors. But yeah, because it is a public bid, you are required to take the lowest responsible bidder.
And then how's it work with the add-ons? Like, let's say for the general contractor, you say, you know, the main thing, and then give us an alternate here. And then for the plumbing, you say, you know, give us the main thing and that same alternate. Like, would there be a dependency? Could you tell the general, you just do the main thing, but the plumber, we want you to do the alternate? Or do you have to link them?
There are some that are linked and some that are not. An example would be we have alternate bids for window blinds. Base bid is keep the blinds you have. Alternate bid is we're going to replace them with manual blinds. That affects just the general contractor. In the meeting space, we also have an alternate bid to provide powered blinds. So if you're going to pick the powered blinds, you would have to do both the general and the electrical contractor for that.
Okay.
The alternate bids also should note that can change the low bidder too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had thought that's what you were getting at, actually. It just happened, again, I referred to Upper Pottsgrove because we just took bids there 60 days ago. And there was an alternate bid selected that changed the outcome of the general contractor by $5,000 on $5 million. That's how close the bids were.
So in some sort of case like that, then, let's say a general contractor bids and you know that they do bad work. Like, how do you protect us from that? You know, and they're also the low bid. How do we make sure that we don't get a low bid that gives you low bid quality?
The solicitor's going to answer this one.
The rules regarding how you can disqualify a bidder are very clear and very well spelled out. They will not be deciding to remove anyone. It's only if they are determined not to be a responsible bidder can they be disqualified.
And then along with that, some of the requirements we put in as far as bonding rating goes, require a very high bond rate. So a contractor that is not very good to achieve that bond rate is going to have to pay a lot more money to get that bond rate, which in turn drives their price up. So we look at bonding, we look at insurance requirements, we look at past experience. We try to put as much ammunition in your solicitor's hand that if you get someone that should not be bidding this, he has the ability to address it.
And then, just a quick follow-on to that, then I'm assuming that the bids are like itemized out, all the piece components, like it's not, we just won't see $5 million for the general contractor, but that'd be detailed out at some level?
So
Correct.
the bid form itself is a lump sum bid, but we will require schedules of value from the contractors as well. That breaks down what that lump sum is.
So like in a commercial process, you could look at that and see, hey, one of the bids is like high here and low here, and the different one is reversed. Can we use the bids to then go through a second round and, go through a process to drive the price down?
No. You either have to accept the bids as submitted or reject all bids and start again. And there's not even any negotiation involved with a low bidder or a second low bidder to say to them, you're a little high on this one area, so if you come down, you need to come down on it. The bids are what the bids are.
Just looking at the project, as it is right now, and you've done a lot of these, without reducing functionality, do you have any ideas on how we can reduce costs? No change to features or function, just, hey, if you used a lower grade paint, you might save some money, but it would still, last 20 years. Like, not that specific one, but do you have ideas on, what we might have done wrong that has moved the needle too far?
I don't think you've done anything wrong. I think the building is exactly what the administration and police department need. As far as finishes and products going into this building, I can assure you MKSD and their consultants are very practical with the products they're recommending putting in. Best example I can give you is terrazzo flooring. I would recommend, if you can afford to put terrazzo floor in a building, because it's going to last you 60, 70 years. What's going in here is a luxury vinyl tile. It's a very durable product. It's not going to last 60 years. It might last 10, 15. You might get 20 out of it, depending on how heavy it's used. So all those considerations were taken into every decision that was made with putting the documents together. There's nothing extravagant in the project. I was thinking to myself when Nick was presenting, he was saying that the lobby area of the administration is very large and generous. I'm like, those aren't the words you use when you're trying to keep the budget down. But yeah, and everything and anything that we could think of to bring these numbers down, we've already vetted. Some of them didn't make sense. Some of them are included. Some of them were already included when we thought of them. So.
And a lot of those items that sometimes you do change are sometimes related to exterior, right? They're what is the exterior of the building like? Is it brick? Is it ephes? What kind of roof are we doing? Are we doing a metal roof? Are we, so, and in this case, we don't have those options, right? The shell is the shell. We're not changing the shell. So really, you're down to the interior. You're talking about really the stuff that Chris mentioned, flooring, painting. There's not a whole lot that's left other than not doing things, right? Not putting up new walls, not doing those things, and that affects functionality, and that you don't want to do. So when you're left with just the interior, there's not a lot of what we call value engineering to be had. A lot of the value engineering many times is on the exterior of the building. It's typically not on the interior. And again, we're not changing HVAC units, right? So there's really not much to change.
I was going to say one thing too. This conversation happened multiple times in our team, and that's the reason why you have that list of alternates. It's not something we were just throwing in the plans that everyone's like, let's put everything we want in here, that budget, the reason, part of the value engineering process is, all right, if it's a wish list item, something that we don't need, let's put it as an alternate. And if it comes in the price is right, then we can, make that choice whether or not you want it. So that is part of the thought process, is that list of alternates that's on there as well.
For what it's worth, and meeting every week, EJ and Paul were extremely diligent with your money. Believe me when I tell you that there was many challenges to the design team, as there should have been, right, along the way. Can we do this? Can we do that? Do we have to do this or do we have to do that, right? So I think collectively in meeting every week, they, as your leaders, had really gotten all of us in the mindset that, we really got to be cognizant of what we're doing here, right? So it was a great collective effort. I think, and the product you're all going to be very proud of at the end. Honestly, it's going to be a great product that was well thought out and certainly not overly extravagant.
I'll just add an anecdote to that. As you all know, I was off for several weeks this summer for some leave, and so I missed a number of consecutive meetings that Paul managed in my absence. And I came back from my leave, and it seemed like Paul had developed a reputation as the no man, because he was saying no to a lot of things. So he shepherded this very well during my absence this summer.
Things that were in EJ's office when he went away were suddenly removed.
Or things were added.
Is that why your office is smaller than Paul's now?
Yes, yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Quick question. I'm forgetting the numbers, but I know when we first started, talking about the municipal complex study and everything, we started with a new building, and then we found this wonderful existing building. How much are we saving? I think it was like, I can't remember the number.
It was in the mid to high 30s.
35 million.
35, yeah, I thought it was like 35,
years ago.
40.
2 years ago.
Right, okay, all right. Because
We were just talking about that on the way down.
yeah, okay, all right, great, thank you.
Random thought, but is there a sign anywhere in this expense?
So there actually is, but I'm not sure if it's the sign you're asking about. We are in the process, and I haven't even
I
told
meant
you.
the permanent sign. Are you bringing this one down, or are you going to get a new one?
There is a budget allowance for a new sign.
There's money in the prime contract numbers to provide like a marquee sign outside stating
There is,
admin,
okay.
please.
All right, thanks. No, that, I would ask the other sign question on.
On order right now.
So the marquee sign would be in the complex or outside, like on Egypt
So
Road?
there's an existing sign outside, kind of where you turn left to come back to the complex, for 800 and 820, I think it is.
Right,
Out there, we were looking to put a sign identifying the police and the admin building. So
because
that when
I'm
you-
thinking we
when-
may need another signage out on
On the
like
building
Egypt,
itself.
like Egypt Road or, at this point, because we're kind of tucked, in a corner, so just FYI. Either on Trooper or both, Trooper and Egypt, where, both entrances are to the area.
And we don't necessarily need to have that resolved before we go out to bid, because what we're going to do is we're going to have the general contractor who would be responsible for it, and perhaps even the electrical contractor if we need lighting there, carry a certain dollar amount for that sign. So it will be in the contract. We won't spend more than that dollar amount that we put in. We'll design it, and then they will install it for that amount that we put in their contract. So we don't have to rush here, even though we're going out to bid in, I think, 3 weeks or so. If the sign is not designed and ready to go by then, the money's in the contract to cover the sign.
They actually don't need to be marquee on those areas, so, yeah.
Correct. That might be even something Public Works could
Yeah.
address. as
Yeah,
well.
we have a sign company that we work with for smaller signs. We're in the process of getting a sign, a essentially a temporary sign that says future home of, 800 Adams, future home of Lower Providence Township. But the other thing, just for the board's recollection to keep in mind, is any signage on the exterior of the building falls in the condo association area, so it's a little bit more of a process to go through. We have to work with the other building owner, get approval, make sure they consent to it. They've been wonderful to work with so far, so I don't foresee any issues. But we don't own that land outright. We're part of a condo association with the other building for any improvements to that exterior area.
Can we put like letters on the building itself, like Lower Providence Township Building and Police Department?
I think I don't see why not. Maybe that's a zoning officer question. I don't know if that's. But as far as the condo association goes, yes, that's not that's a part of what we own outright. Yeah.
I'm just thinking with some buildings that all look the same. If you had a sign, someone still might get confused. You go to like 800 instead of 810. So set it on the building itself. Assuming the zoning officer will allow it.
Okay. I think that was it. All right, appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back when we receive bids. Thank you.
Did any supervisors have any last-minute questions before they leave? Everyone's good? You good? Okay.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
I did have one more thing to add just for the boards. I think I mentioned this previously, but they didn't mention the subdivision or the land development process. How it's going to be simplified. We are going to come to the board. I think we're actually shooting for the next meeting to do a brief land development presentation because there is the Sallyport portion of the building is technically an exterior improvement to a commercial property. So Tim's going to just kind of do a site plan saldo presentation to you all. And at that point, we'll also talk about one of the things that came up a number of months ago in these discussions was, in lieu of any sidewalk improvements, the potential for a trail along Rittenhouse Road. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Now we're moving on, and hopefully we'll get through this quickly, right? All right, next up is the consent agenda to accept the minutes from the Board of Supervisors business meeting on August 21st, September 4th, 2025, the minutes from board committees, commissions, monthly reports, and fiscal matters. I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is the continuance of a public hearing on the solicitation and peddling ordinance and Solicitor Clark, because I don't have to do a motion to open because it's still
You
open.
do not, because
Okay.
we tabled it while the hearing was still open.
Okay.
Last 2 meetings ago, we were here to consider this ordinance. We conducted a public hearing. We allowed for public comment. And then during board comment, we realized that my office had sent over the original copy of the ordinance and not the red line version from all the changes that had been mentioned at the previous meeting, and for that we apologize. We have sent over the red line copy, which we believe reflects all of the changes that were discussed previously. If there are any questions, we'll do our best to answer them, and if there are not any questions, this would be appropriate for a motion to adopt this ordinance.
Any further board comments?
Sorry, just one, on the ordinance section 108-2 definitions, under door-to-door, which is the middle of the page, if you're looking at it, there's a misspelling of hawking in the second line.
Okay, the page number again.
Yep, I got it.
You got it?
Door-to-door hauling.
Yep.
Hawking, yeah. Maybe you want to prevent that too, I don't know.
Is that a term of art?
No. That is a typo. Yep. So that'll be corrected. That does not, a typo like that doesn't require a motion to amend or certainly does not require re-advertising, so.
Good catch.
Anything else?
There are no, you can close the hearing and then have a motion to approve.
Okay, all right. I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So now that we've closed the hearing, I would like to make a motion to approve the adoption of ordinance number 691, solicitation and peddling ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment?
I just want to say, I think this is a great ordinance. I've heard unsolicited, to me, that people are asking for this sort of thing. So I think this is very timely.
Great, awesome. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. On to old business, the consideration of revision to the Methacton Audubon Recreation Association lease, and Paul Donnelly has more.
Thank you. As you may remember, about a year ago, the board voted to amend the lease for Mara's use of the Mascara complex. And since that time, we've kind of had a lot of back and forth about changing that lease again for fall ball. Over the summer, we had multiple discussions with them about their usage of the complex. The complex is relatively new, and so I think currently the league and the residents around the complex are trying to work out the best arrangement. I want to give credit to both residents of the area and to the league itself, because they both came to the table independently of us and tried to work out a mutually agreed upon set of terms in terms of the usage, and they both have spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to work best for them. What we put before you tonight is the recommendation on, and it's been accepted by both parties. The only addition would be for the stadium itself, usage on Sundays, which is one of the main kind of points of contention between the two parties, is when they can use the complex on Sundays. So what was agreed upon are the terms laid out in what was presented to you tonight, but also that we're going to cap the number of Sundays that they can use lights on to 3 for fall ball for this year. At the end of this season, we plan to sit down with both sides again to see if this worked and if we're going to continue this moving forward. So this will come before you again at some point, either this year or next year. But both sides have agreed to this with that small amendment, and that's where we're at.
Thank you for working on that with the Board of Supervisors, so appreciate that. Did you have something to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I felt tired. My hand is-
Okay, all right. Great. I will make a motion to approve the revision to the Methacton Audubon Recreation Association lease. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment?
Just a question. So we're approving a document that is temporary for this season only?
Correct.
Subject to, so we're not approving an amendment to the contract, we're approving a document that allows behavior for this period of time.
Correct. That's what we would say. Yeah. I mean, I think it's yes.
I mean, it technically would be an amendment to the lease, but a time-limited amendment for 2025 only.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be, obviously, what has been presented to you is not in a format for signature because these terms were just finalized today, but with your approval, we'll draft the lease, this minor amendment to reflect these terms for the parties to sign.
Great. I just wanted to clarify that it is for 2025. It will be rediscussed for 26 and beyond, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and it does say here, for fall 2025 season only, so, yeah.
Right. This does not apply to any spring baseball or softball, does not apply for any tournaments over the summer. This is strictly for fall ball until essentially the close of their season in the early November.
And then this becomes effective immediately.
Yes.
All ball will be closing soon.
Good job dealing with the parties.
That's what the township does. So they're doing a great job. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay, motion carries. All right, on to new business, approval of tax assessment appeal settlement stipulation as provided by Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas for 825 Forge Avenue, and Solicitor Clark has more on that.
Thank you. You have two tax assessment appeal settlements in front of you this evening. Both of them, if you happen to look at the documents, were originally initiated in 2020. There has been a significant backlog of tax assessment appeal cases in Montgomery County, many of them originating out of 2020 or after, after the pandemic, when a lot of businesses, the value of their property went down significantly. Many people filed tax assessment appeals in that period of time. The backlog is starting to break up a little bit. I know we had a couple of tax assessment appeals last month. We have two this month. I anticipate we'll be having more in the coming months. Also, as I know all of you are aware, but for anyone who is watching may not be aware, when a property owner files a tax assessment appeal, we are not the only entity that's involved. The county is involved and the school district is involved. These are the three taxing authorities within the county. So these are the three who are receiving property tax dollars. Normally in these instances, the county and the township defer to the school district on whether or not to settle these matters, because the school district is collecting anywhere from 83 to 86% on every dollar. They receive a much larger share of every tax dollar than we do. The first one that you have in front of you this evening, again, the property is located at 825 Forge Avenue within the township. This is an assessment appeal for 2020, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. The school district has decided to settle this matter, and as often happens in these agreements, the settlement terms begin with the statement, based upon the risks and costs of litigation, that the parties have decided it's in their best interest to settle this appeal based upon the terms and conditions set forth below. So the school district is recommending settlement. The school district will be refunding the property owner $126,745. If the board approves this tonight, we will be refunding the property owner $15,627. Essentially what this is saying is that the value of the property has decreased every year since 2020, and this is what the school district and the property owner have agreed upon. So if the board is so inclined, we would need a motion to accept the stipulation to settle between Forge U4 LLC and the township.
Okay, thank you for being so thorough about that. Okay, so next, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the tax assessment appeals settlement stipulation for 825 Forge Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay, motion carries. Next is the approval of tax assessment appeal settlement stipulation as provided by Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas for 681 Shannondale Boulevard. The amount that we are owing is $15,584. I would like to make a motion to approve the tax assessment appeal settlement stipulation for 681 Shannondale Boulevard. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next up is the consideration of reimbursement resolution number 2025-32, and E.J. Mantry and Solicitor Clark has more on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the second reimbursement resolution that we are bringing before the board over the course of essentially the past year. The board adopted one in December for the first borrowing, which essentially covered the financing for the acquisition of 800 Adams Avenue. The purpose of the reimbursement resolution is to allow the township to reimburse itself for any costs associated with the development of the project through the proceeds of the borrowing prior to the actual issuance of the debt. So we do anticipate a second borrowing to cover the cost of the renovations that will likely happen, that will likely coincide with after the bids are received and a contract is awarded and with the adoption of the 2026 budget. So still a few months off for that. But what this reimbursement resolution allows us to do is to reimburse ourselves for any costs associated with the project once we get those proceeds. And it's retroactive to 60 days prior to the adoption of this resolution. The resolution has to state an amount. The amount stated in this one is up to $12 million. The amount in the reimbursement resolution in no way obligates the board or the township to borrow that much money. Just if you'll recall, the first reimbursement resolution from December was for a borrowing of up to $30 million, and we ended up borrowing approximately $13 million. So it's intentionally drafted to provide a cushion beyond what the actual anticipated borrowing amount is.
Any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the reimbursement resolution number 2025-32. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right. On to announcements and meetings. We have the community yard sale coming up in 2 days from 8 to 2 p.m. The list of participating homes will be posted on Facebook and on the township website. I know that's always a great day for our community, and it looks like good weather so far, so hopefully it'll be a good day. The movie in the park is Hotel Transylvania, which will be on Friday, September 26th at 7 p.m. And our first budget workshop will be September 23rd at 4:30 p.m. right here in the auditorium. Planning Commission meeting on the 24th has been canceled. There's a zoning hearing board meeting on September 25th at 7 p.m. And there's a Human Relations Commission meeting on October 1st at 6:30 p.m. Also, like to mention that the Lower Providence will be participating in a dedication for Veteran Suicide Prevention Week. This will be on a Thursday, September 25th at 2 p.m. It will be located in Eagleville Park behind this building. So everyone is invited, veterans, loved ones of veterans, loved ones that lost their veterans are welcome to this dedication on September 25th at 2 p.m. Okay. At this time, I would like to offer the public courtesy of the floor and not to exceed 3 minutes per person. And the board has a right to answer at that time or not any questions that is posed to them. Any courtesy of the floor? Okay, all right. We're closing that on to any board comments. Anything else from any supervisors?
I'll just quickly, if I may, offer my regrets that I will be unable to attend the board budget meeting next Tuesday due to an unavoidable family conflict. Hopefully, I'll be able to participate more fully in the second one, presuming there is one. One little nugget I just wanted to leave everyone with, that as I do the research on the revenues and the taxes, I looked into and asked the question, what, of all the properties that are subject to property tax, what percentage of them are owned by persons 65 and older? And the answer was 52. So a majority of the people in this township that pay property taxes are over 65. which is a significant number, much higher than surrounding townships. Something we should be keeping in mind when we're imposing these tax increases. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Okay. Meeting adjourned.